An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That to me is the definition of an artist.
Hello, welcome back to my channel, Diamond's Untitled Universe, DW for short, and we have 2 days of Black History Month left.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I know, that's so unfortunate, but I'm going to stretch this out at least until the 2nd. We are owed more days anyway, so for today's video, we are going to be doing entry number 5 of the Painting Diaries Black History Month edition. And today, we will be painting Miss Nina Simone, okay? Okay, so before we get into some of the facts about her, let me just apologize in advance for this video. I mentally am not doing my best. My anxiety has been haywire, and I just feel like words are not connecting to my brain. And anyone who suffers from severe anxiety kind of knows that sometimes words are hard. Things don't come out no matter how hard you try. So please bear with me. Brain and mouth, zero connection. Nina Simone is a heavily influential musician and musical icon in the industry and in the civil rights movement. She's just an amazing person all around. But what kind of threw me off a bit about learning her backstory was a lot of the suffrage that she had been through, dealing with mental illness and the feelings of rejection and paranoia because she was targeted by the CIA. And so low-key for this video, it kind of threw me off a bit because I was like, oh my gosh, I was expecting to go in with a lot of her, achievements and accolades, and just a lot of trauma hit me in the face that I actually did not expect. It was very difficult for me to kind of pinpoint a talking point because I feel like her backstory is extremely layered and nuanced. Like, it's not a one video type thing. I can't fit all that into one little video, and I feel like there's so many different separate conversations to be had about her background that I don't feel prepared to be talking about it. I don't feel qualified to talk about it. I don't know. I think it's also kind of triggering for me because one thing about it is just how people view and treat mental illness is so disgusting to me, and it like really hits me in the heart, you know what I mean? It hits me personally because I deal with a lot of mental health issues myself. So, I think I was just like very triggered. But one thing I do want to kind of focus on is how one point of rejection can kind of warp our points of views of ourselves and our gifts and what we have to offer. And sometimes we really let the things that people say and the rejection that we face kind of define who we are, and we shouldn't do that. I feel like a very significant point of rejection that she faced early on in her life really warped how she went about achieving her dream and doing the things that she loved and enjoyed. And so that's kind of, I feel like I zoned out a little bit, but that's kind of what I'm going to be trying to touch on. And again, forgive me if I just seem all over the place because mental stuff isn't, my brain's not working, guys. My brain's not working. I'm sorry. But yeah, so yeah, let's get into it. All right, I tried to get a little relaxing vibe, set the mood a little bit. I got me my little drinky drink. Get y'all a little drinky drink, and let's get into talking about the beautiful Miss Nina Simone. Real name is Eunice Kathleen Wayman, and I find her name so pretty. Like, Eunice is such a different name. I feel like it's like a timeless name. Like, we could have a baby named Eunice. Wait.
The dreams that you had you do.
We could meet a baby named Eunice, and I wouldn't blink twice. You know what I mean? It's not like a old-timey name. I just think it's nice, Okay, can you guys tell that the drink is kicking in? It is. I'm so sorry. I was trying to loosen up my brain a little bit, and but I'm gonna try to stay on track, for real. I'm gonna try to stay on track. So moving on. Nina Simone was truly an amazing individual. I mean, she was a child prodigy. She was a musical genius, a civil rights activist, and she was so good at what she did, the CIA was even after her. And when the CIA is after you during the civil rights movement, you're unstoppable, but unfortunately she definitely had a lot of paranoia due to that. And then later in life, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she was later medicated, and towards the end of her days, she was definitely dealing with a lot of depression. She definitely was battling a lot of demons and unhealed trauma wounds. Towards the end of her life, she was very lonely. And, just to see somebody of this great magnitude with all of this giftedness, I feel like with great gifts come with a lot of spiritual warfare in a way. But I don't know, something about her, on paper, we don't hear about the depths of who she was and what she kind of struggled with. And I find that so unfortunate, because they labeled her as like this diva, and it was like, no, homegirl was just going through it mentally. And I feel that, and that doesn't always negate any of the bad things that she may have done in her life, but it just like, it allows us to see these people as more complex human beings and give them a bit of grace, like I really felt like she deserved a lot more grace. Now, with all the things that she's accomplished, like she was a genre defying artist and musician, she was a civil rights mogul, and she just had so much impact here in this life. I find it so hard to believe that she felt like she didn't achieve as much as she did. And I think that actually came from the fact that she was rejected from Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia due to her being, guess what, a black woman. Are we surprised? Are we surprised? Are we surprised? No, we are not. And then, of course, they tried to make it seem like she wasn't, it wasn't that reason that she was rejected, but we all know. And so that rejection definitely left a very deep scar that I don't think she ever got over. Matter of fact, I think she said she never got over it. Especially when they keep trying to make it seem like it was something else than what it actually was, which was racism. And I feel like she had a lot of deep regret that she couldn't achieve her dream of being the world's first black classical pianist. And I think she held on to a lot of anger. And sometimes we as artists, when people deny us, not out of our inability to deliver with our gifts and talents, but because of something as dumb as the color of our skin or our gender. And here's the thing, It's very important that we know exactly who we are and what we have to offer, and we make it despite of what anyone says, but also learning how to heal and move on from that rejection and not taking it to heart, especially when it's based off of something superficial like the color of our skin. And she had enough mental fortitude and drive to keep going and keep pushing. She even changed her name from her original name, Eunice, to Nina Simone, of course. And she chose music over everything. And I also think that that's a pro and a con, you know what I mean? Like, she loved what she did, she was passionate about it, but I also think to some degree she was overcompensating for the dream that she felt was taken from her, and that is understandable. And I feel like it's just really important to grieve the dreams that we thought we had for ourselves, and understand that just because we may not be placed exactly where we want to be does not mean that we aren't going to be placed where we are meant to be. And I solely believe that. I mean, to be honest, like, I know that it wasn't just that one point of rejection and that one point of racism and racial trauma that she endured. I know she endured countless amounts of racial discrimination and racial trauma and racial targeting. And, you know, like I said earlier, the CIA was after her because she chose to represent the times in her work. She created from the heart, and she understood that art is political. Our very existence is political. And, you know, this woman, she was very sharp-minded, very sharp-tongued. She was a very spiritual human being, to the point where she was named the High Priestess of Soul. And I never knew that. But at the same time, for us to be whole spiritually, we have to heal. We have to learn how to move on and let go and know that we are enough. And we have to have a grounding point. If we are dealing with a lot of mental health issues, sometimes it's very hard for us to stay grounded in who we know that we are and what we know that is real and what is not, the things that we know that is physical versus spiritual. And I just feel like she was going through a lot. And in some ways, it's like I feel as though she didn't even have time to breathe and rest, because she had a point to prove. Like, she knew she did. And I just hate that she felt like that one moment really took something away from her. And I understand that. Like, I let a situation, you know what, let me get on a little tangent, a little story of how I let this sixth grader, this big-headed little boy named Cedric in 6th grade, bully me, right? And he was talking about my weight. I was a chubby little girl, you know. And that's not the only moment that affected me for the rest of my life, but that one moment that I remember and I tried my best to block out shaped my whole point of view of the things that I had to offer, the person that I was, up until, like, y'all, I'm pushing 30 now. And I'm really just now sitting here being like, oh wow, that moment shaped my whole entire point of view of who I am and my gifts and talents, to the point where I'm just now getting over it. And because that shaped how I viewed myself and specifically my body, you know, I did not pursue my dreams as being a choreographer the way that I felt like I needed to confidently. And that one moment kind of took something away from me, and I've spent the last few years kind of grieving that dream that I had envisioned on a bigger level, to just, you know, changing a little direction, saying that I'll get to that part when I get to it. And right now I'm pursuing art, I'm still creative, and you know, I can actually say that I'm happy, and, you know, I'm healing through a lot of things. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. Like, one point of rejection based off of something so superficial really stole something from me, and I allowed it because I didn't see my worth in the things that I had achieved and the things that I was good at in the moment. And everyone's around me, if everyone around you is telling you that you are basically that girl and that you're amazing at something, and your mind is still choosing to believe that, listen, my excuse was always like, oh, I'm still lacking, and I never liked applause. So if people around you are telling you that you're amazing at something and you refuse to believe it, please check yourself. Don't believe yourself, because you are a liar. You have everything to offer the world and more, and it's important as artists that we believe that, so when we get old and we're in our 70s and we've done everything that we know we were put on earth to do, we have no regrets. That drink worked. That got through my talking points. So let's kind of, do a little debrief of the painting portion. It was chill. I think this was probably one of the easiest ones, but I second guessed myself a lot on this. I thought I was lacking in her likeness, and I was second guessing myself. So I was like, let me, try to edit this, because in the mouth portion, I don't know if you can tell, I just felt like obviously her nose to mouth, that space was a bit too short. So I was like, let me try to, do a little something. But in the end, I still did like how it turned out. And because I kept working on it, I was able to change the background up a little bit more. And like I said, other than all like the, second guessing, it was still pretty. It was a chill piece. I really enjoyed it. And we can always do better. We can always do better. But I like how it turned out. And obviously I still have trouble, telling myself when something is good, because I always think, okay, but it can be better, you can do more. But sometimes you got to tell yourself what you did is enough, So just enjoy the last little bit of this painting portion, and I will see you soon. All right, can we see? All right, so here is Miss Nina Simone. Okay, Miss Eunice Wayman. Let me not dead name her. Here is Miss Nina Simone. Here is how it ended. I actually liked how I finished it off before I decided to second guess myself and change it. And, but I do like it. I like how the background kind of came to play, the colors in the background. I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope you get it. Let me block her face out. Yeah. So you can see her in all her glory. I really like the colors. The really bright magenta with this what did I use? I don't think it was a Naples yellow. I think it was like a yellow ochre. Yeah, anyway. But I do like it. I do like it. I will not lie. I am not a liar. Only occasionally. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the things that I was talking about made some kind of sense to you. I hope you learned just a little bit. Got a little bit of insight. Got a little bit of advice that you can use in your own existence, But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe and hit your notification bell, okay? And yeah, stay tuned for the very last video. And we are out. I don't know what that was. I'm very uncomfortable today because homegirl stole my chair. And she's sleeping away and she looks so cute. I already apologized for this. Man love a man. A man love a man. Shake it, shake it, shake it fast.